Hello, welcome back to the Strawberry Lowly channel. As you could tell from the title, today we're going to be discussing some 2025 holiday makeup releases that they've already been teasing this since I feel like summer pretty soon. They're just gonna keep teasing and leaking the holiday releases earlier and earlier in the year, and I won't be surprised if the Christmas palettes start getting advertised to us 6 months before December even comes on the horizon. Yeah, let me see if I can just pull up my other tab here with all my screenshots that I took. Most of these are from Trendmood, some of them from various other pages. I guess it's just gonna be a little bit of a rant, like a good-natured rant, you know. We have a lot of varied interests on this channel, right? We love makeup, we love fashion, Japanese culture, other Asian culture. And we like to discuss celebrity happenings from time to time as well. Through these discussions, I try to find a way to also deliver like lessons or things to watch out for as we're all navigating these interesting, challenging sometimes, economically unstable, I will say, times. I refrain from like making too much content on it because I don't want to fall into the camp of content creators. Like, I don't want to fall too much into the grifting side of the content creation scale. Although, just to be completely honest and transparent, we are all on a scale. We are all at some point on the scale of like being truly authentic and trying to create content with integrity to really inform and empower our audience. But then on the other side of that spectrum, you always have the people that are like grifters and really, really money hungry. They'll do anything for a check. They'll take any sponsorship just so that they can generate more revenue for their channel. So it's up to you to decide what is acceptable to you or not in terms of the types of creators you want to support. But at the end of the day, I mean, the saying goes that capitalism makes us all whores in a way, right? So with that out of the way though, yeah, like I said, I just wanted to focus on something more lighthearted today, although at the end of the day, everything is that deep actually, because everything connects into everything else. So even though it's just makeup, remember that makeup is a multi-billion-dollar industry throughout the entire world, and it is intimately connected into like our psyches, and it certainly influences the mental state, I feel like, and the collective, you know, confidence and self-concept that women all over the world have of themselves. Now, of course, we as the consumers, we have more power than we think as to which direction we want to influence, we want that influence of makeup to go. But unfortunately, sometimes that does often involve us having to kind of mobilize and give some healthy form of pushback to an industry that sometimes or oftentimes doesn't always have our best interest at heart. Actually, the goal of the beauty industry or any industry this day and age, I think, is quite simple. It might not be the whole picture, but usually the biggest goal of all of these big corporations and beauty companies and brands is to make money, right? Even down to the indie level. I mean, even people who start their own indie beauty brand out of a passion for making, like, for example, foundation colors that are not being produced by some of the larger makeup brands, still at the end of the day, that creator is hoping to make a livelihood out of her creation and be able to sustain herself financially off of the success of her brand. So yeah, all of that being said though, I just wanted to go through a couple of the holiday launches that have been littering my feed every time I log into social media, and I just want to gauge, like, am I the only one over here in the Twilight Zone, or are you all kind of with me mentally with our collective kind of question mark, what the hell is going on reaction at some of these releases? So let me share. I can't stand StreamYard, but I refuse to pay for their paid subscription version because it's like an arm and a leg. That's one thing that in general I'm just like, I refuse to partake in, is subscription services. To this day, I have never subscribed to Netflix. I do have Amazon Prime, but yeah, I don't have Netflix. I don't have Gmail, even though they send me that warning letter like every week about how I only have 0.002, you know, megabytes of data storage left. And if I don't upgrade my storage, or if I don't pay a certain amount every month, then I'm not going to be able to open my emails anymore, apparently. But I mean, I don't know. I think I still have one gigabyte left. So until then, I'm just gonna try to delete as much of my old spam and junk mail that I've accumulated over the past 10 years that I can, and then we'll see. Maybe I will end up opening a new mail address, or maybe I'll just bite the bullet and subscribe for their little, I don't know how much it is, like $3 a month to host my data. But yeah, I don't like this trend towards subscription economy that we're on nowadays. Okay, you can see that, right? All right, you know what? That's gonna have to do for now. So Pat McGrath, first and foremost. Actually, I just realized I can look on my phone too to read it better. So the Pat McGrath Gilded Nirvana collection for holiday 2025. I'm bummed out about the more subdued color story because I was actually waiting. This was one of the few brands that I was waiting with bated breath to see what they were gonna put out for the holiday collection. However, the colors are just not enticing enough for me. And we all know that something weird is happening over at Pat McGrath. It seems like she is very preoccupied with her position as, I don't know if it's creative director, or like they brought her on to do the launch for the very first Louis Vuitton beauty launch, right? So we're going to get to that in a bit too, but it seems very clear that Pat McGrath's energy and her attention is being paid elsewhere, which I don't blame her for at all. You know, I'm happy that she's probably collecting a huge check from Louis Vuitton, but as a consequence, it does seem that perhaps her own namesake beauty brand is kind of like taking a backseat in the past few years, really. Even with all of like the lackluster response to Pat McGrath releases lately, I still have a soft spot in my heart for the brand. I like the fact that it's started by a professional makeup artist that is very decorated, and she's had a really big impressive career in actual like runway and editorial work. She's not just one of these young people too that largely came up on social media. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, there's a level of gravitas that someone like Pat McGrath holds in the beauty industry that doesn't go unnoticed to me. It's not lost on me, right? So I think that's part of the reason, it's a huge part of the reason why her brand, Pat McGrath Labs, still holds a huge pull on me. But if I'm completely honest, I was expecting and hoping for more of a festive holiday color palette, right? These colors, they're pretty, but they're really giving more like summertime, like Riviera, you know, yacht collection vibes to me. It's not really giving winter. I was really expecting more like jewel tones or a darker, vampier color palette. And so for that reason, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pass on this one because the colors are just not speaking to me. I probably have these colors many times over already in my collection, and probably from ColourPop or yeah, just really affordable brands. They don't strike me as necessarily colors that are hard to dupe. I see that she did bring back the hard packaging. So like the last one or the last few holiday releases from Pat McGrath, the eyeshadow palettes have been cardboard to cut back costs. So I do appreciate that they decided to go with the regular luxe hardcover packaging for this one. I just wish the color story was different. Okay, so moving on. Moving on, we have Louis Vuitton. This line has been generating quite the buzz on social media, and not exactly for the right reasons, but you know what they say, all publicity is good publicity, I guess. So this is where it seems like Miss Pat McGrath has been spending most of her energy on, aside from her main makeup line. Louis Vuitton launches the first makeup line with a $160 lipstick and a $250 eyeshadow palette. I mean, okay, if you have the funds to blow on this, it looks beautiful. I will give them that. The design looks stunning. The hardware, yeah, the design, like I'm sure it's super luxe. I'm sure that you would feel super bougie using these items day to day in your beauty routine. It's just the price tag, right? That alone counts a lot of people, including myself, out. In this current economy, I think most people are not at a place where they are willing to spend $160 on a lipstick. And even if I had an extra $160, why would I spend it on a lipstick? I am more in, I mean, you guys know I'm kind of in like my networking era or social climbing, if you want to be tongue in cheek. But this year in particular, I've really been prioritizing building up my network and going to lots of different types of events and just trying to meet, like just trying to expand my circle and meet lots of different individuals in my industry. Because in times like these where we are on like the brink of a recession, they keep saying, I don't think it's lack mindset or anything like that to start, preparing contingency plans for the future, because you never know what might happen. People are getting laid off left and right, blindsided by their employers. So I don't think that it's like a sign of lack mindset. I think it's a sign of being smart and having the gift of foresight to, yeah, like try to put contingency plans in place for yourself. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make new connections and bolster up my circle so that if I ever find myself in a position where I'm kind of knocked down off my feet, I want to be able to get back up as quickly as possible, right? The best way to do that is to start preparing now before anything catastrophic even happens. And so, yeah, to my point about $160 for a lipstick or a $250 eyeshadow palette, I would much rather take an extra $250 that I have laying around and use that to pay for my entry to some exclusive, membership event held by the American Chamber of Commerce here in Japan or British Chamber of Commerce, right? Like the connections, the social connections and opportunities that I could possibly get from being in those rooms are worth way, way more to me than the momentary dopamine hit of a luxury 4-pan eyeshadow palette that has colors that I already have 100 times over in my collection. So beautiful. I'm not going to knock it. If you have the money to spare, go all out. In fact, please film a video or a review, film swatches for us so that we can live vicariously through your reels. But it's not a necessity. So, like, yeah, $160 for a lipstick. I think we can all agree this is not normal by any stretch of the imagination. It just speaks to like how crazy influencer culture is these days, to the point where for some reason we don't really bat an eye at these crazy out there prices that these brands keep coming up with. But anyway, let's move to the next one. So in the same vein of, this is kind of just more eye candy at this point. It's not really like a consideration. Hermes. What is this? Is this a blush? It's just this face powder, right? The Poudre Rocaval palette Hermes Beauty. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the original post to see if I can find any details. Okay, so obviously the embossment is extremely intricate and beautiful. It's like a callback to Hermes's equestrian legacy. But with something like this, with the first swipe of the product, with the first swatch that you take, it's going to be ruined in a moment. So I just don't know. I mean, what value are you truly getting out of something like this? Again, if you have the money to blow and you want it, go ahead, but this is a definite no for me. All right, so let me read you the description. It says, a face powder inspired by the house's iconic rug. Rug? I didn't know that they had an iconic rug. I only know about Kelly's and Birkins, and the fact that it started out as an equestrian brand. But okay, yeah, apparently they have an iconic rug, and with the traditional blue and red stripes worn by the racehorses, which they have been producing since the 1920s, with 4 main colors and with a 5th covering shade capturing the intricate and delicate details of the horse. The 5 sun-kissed colors and pinkish particles bring brightness and warmth to the skin to create a healthy, natural glow with a soft, silky texture, light, airy feel, long wear. Did they just ask ChatGPT to write this description for them? Because that last line with the soft, silky texture, light, airy, like, did you just, look up the word luxurious on synonym.com and then put the first 5 words that the search engine spit back at you? Like, anyway, as those of you who know my history with that brand know. So before, when I was talking about how I still have a soft spot in my heart for Pat McGrath, I'm holding space for Pat McGrath in my heart, right? Like I haven't written her off completely. I don't think her products are a complete shit or anything. It's just that her palettes and her collections as of late have left a few people scratching their heads, right? Because there's not really as much cohesion as there was in the past. Some of the color stories are kind of bland, or it seems like they also keep repeating certain color stories. Like instead of coming out with completely new palettes or new products, they'll slap a new packaging on a pre-existing color story. Like that type of thing, I think is sort of, if not alienating their consumers, it's definitely making people scratch their heads, but it's not egregious enough to the point where I'm inclined to write off the brand completely. And I'm not completely turned off, right? Because at the end of the day, I still think that Pat McGrath has solid quality overall. So I'm like patiently waiting, in the back wings for Pat McGrath as a brand to find their groove again. And I believe that they will find themselves again. I believe like they might go something similar to what Urban Decay has gone through in recent years. You guys know Urban Decay kind of had a comeback because after their whole like I guess naked palette line, they kind of went through like a dip in terms of creativity and cohesiveness, but then now they're back on the rise again, right? People are talking about Urban Decay again. So I'm hoping, I'm hopeful, I'm confident that Pat McGrath will experience the same resurgence. I don't know exactly when, but sometime in the future. And I also feel good about supporting the brand as a whole, just because of Pat McGrath herself. She has a very like respectable history as a proper renowned makeup artist in the fashion industry. Patrick Ta, on the other hand, okay, not to discount anyone who has a come up as an influencer. Obviously, as a content creator myself, I would never speak negatively like that over anyone else who was able to get their big break from the content space. But I more so have a bone to pick with, this is going to sound judgmental, but I think a lot of you might know where I'm coming from. I have a more of an issue with Patrick Ta's personality. Like I don't trust completely where he's coming from based on what I've seen of when what are these called? The major dimension eye these names I can't. The major dimension eye illusion eyeshadow duos. Okay, I'm just gonna call them the glittery eyeshadow duos. Remember there was that whole fiasco back in the day when the first launch of these came out, and then people were just saying that they were like way too overpriced, and I don't know if they were breaking or they had mold or something, but there was something wrong with the quality control, right? And the big influencers, the beauty reviewers were pointing it out on their platforms, and Patrick Ta did some very weird activity. I did not like the way he moved at all. Like I peeped some stuff with the way that he moved, and I'm sure a lot of you agree with me and you saw exactly what I saw. The fact that, remember when he put out that apology video and then deleted it and then put out another one that was almost verbatim, word by word, the same exact apology that he said in the first video, except the second one was just more like emotionless, and it seemed like he just wanted to curate his image more for the apology video. So okay, I don't know much about Patrick Ta except like after that fiasco with the eyeshadow duos, when people were complaining about the quality and about how they were a ripoff, the way that he came back with a non-apology, it was a non-apology disguised as an apology video, but he didn't actually take full accountability. He really just ended up doubling down about why his eyeshadows and his shimmers are superior to everyone else's in the industry. And he did that whole like weird video comparing his glitters with other similar glitters from different brands, insisting to us that gram by gram or pound by pound, his had more expensive ingredients, which in turn justifies the exorbitant price that he was charging for basically two eyeshadows, right? So yeah, out of that fiasco, I had just enough curiosity to watch like one kind of autobiographical, I don't know, video. I watched one like informative video about Patrick Ta and kind of his whole beginnings, his creative beginnings, and how he became a makeup star, a makeup artist that eventually rubbed shoulders with the biggest names in fashion today. Like, who are those models that he's always hanging around? Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, the Hadid sisters. He's always like seen photographed with all of the glamorous it girl models of today, right? Kendall Jenner, I'm sure, as well. And I just remember like in that video, I forget which creator it was, but somebody did kind of an autobiography type of video about his origins as a creative child up until how he was able to break into the makeup and beauty industry and become like a household name today, right? I think he also, was he not creative director or something of Shiseido at one point? I think, yeah, he worked for Shiseido at one point, and then he got the kind of like global social media recognition, and then he launched his own brand, and now he's a household name unto himself, right? But I just remember like they were talking about when he was a child, he used to be really chubby and insecure. In this interview, or no, in this video, they included clips of him being interviewed in which he talks about how he used to be so insecure and like all he wanted to do was to be, accepted by the popular crowd, and that now that he's able to work with all these famous models and people in the fashion industry, it's kind of like a dream come true for him. While I have compassion, okay, for whatever he went through, I know it's not an easy thing, especially as an Asian kid, so you're already a minority, and on top of it you have to deal with the fact that you are chubby, so kids can be cruel, and all of these factors together, it just gives other kids more ammunition to chip away at your self-confidence. Like, that part I'm not denying whatsoever, but just to know that, like, okay, I don't trust people that have made it to adulthood and have not taken the time out to heal their inner child. They have not taken that time to either go to therapy or just work out their past wounds by themselves, right? Because it shows me that even though now you're an adult and you might be materially successful on the outside, but in someone like Patrick Taw's case, I could be wrong, okay? At the end of the day, I don't know these people personally, but it's just a very heavy sense, a very heavy vibe intuition I got from his entire behavior, especially in response to the first scandal that concerned his first eyeshadow duo launch. The way that he was so defensive and he doubled down on how much his price point was justified and blah blah blah, it just really gave me like, oh, okay, so you are still that insecure little boy who would do anything for outside validation, right? Like, that's why it means so much to him to be photographed with the Hadid sisters all the time, or that's why he needs to like attach himself to another big name in the fashion industry all the time, because that's where he gets his self-value from to this day, because he needs outside validation. He needs the proximities to celebrities in order to get his self-worth. There's a difference between like doing that from just a purely business smarts perspective. Like, yeah, if you raise your clout by associating yourself with celebrities or having celebrity clientele, of course, if you're a smart business person, you can leverage that to catapult your own career. But I always got the sense that it was not just that. It was more like, in addition to like leveraging that to forward his career, I got the sense that he really does depend a lot on the validation of being associated with all of the popular it girls or it figures in fashion today. And that's why my very long-winded reason as to why I'm very put off from wanting to purchase anything that he puts out in his Patrick Talk cosmetics line, because I don't like to give my money to people who don't have the courage to validate themselves, if you know what that means. I just don't think it's a good exchange of energy to be supporting people who, like, yeah, they might have this huge material success on the outside, but if it's something that was driven by insecurity and wanting to fit in with the cool crowd, which I think it's very apparent in Patrick Taw's case that that was kind of a huge driving factor for all of his success, then I personally don't want anything to do with that dynamic. I only want to associate with and give my money to do business with people who know exactly who they are. They're very aligned to their purpose in life. They have high moral integrity. They don't depend on the validation of, you know, their peers or this famous, beautiful celebrity. They don't depend on people to give them a cosign, right? To validate their worth as a human being. And I just get the vibes from Patrick Ta that he is still, to this day, that chubby little kid back in grade school that just wanted the popular kids to like and accept him. So I clock so many influencers and public figures who still have that kind of, they're still trapped in that mentality where they're dependent on outside validation. And while I'm not discounting like the trauma or whatever they went through, I feel like it's their responsibility as an adult to work through that. And if they don't, it's fine, right? But if they're going to start a business and they're going to become a public figure, then I reserve the right as a consumer to not buy from someone like that. Because I feel like at the end of the day, that's someone who is not like in line with their true purpose or their true integrity, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's my very, very overly deep philosophical reason as to why I would never feel comfortable buying anything from Patrick Ta. While we're on the topic of Patrick Ta, I do think that his products look beautiful. I mean, I've heard good reviews about these matte eyeshadow palettes as well, but just on the basis that basically he gives me the ick when I think about his backstory and the fact that to this day, it just seems like everything that he does is still for validation and attention. And you can't convince me otherwise, okay? Because I'm a very intuitive person and I can see right through people. So if you think that's too harsh, I mean, that's your opinion, but that is one of my criteria when it comes to deciding whether or not I want to purchase from someone. And I cannot purchase anything from Patrick Ta without having this icky feeling of like, ugh, but I'm supporting this person who is so insecure and just like such a brown noser. Like they just want to hang out with the popular kids in Hollywood, and like that's what he lives for, you know? He lives for the selfies with the Bella Hadids and the Kendall Jenners on his page. That's where he gets his self-worth. That's the way that he feels like he's able to stick it to his bullies in the past. But it's like if you were truly healed and ascended, you would not even remember those bullies' names, right? I just thought of the perfect way to describe him. So imagine you booked him as your makeup artist for your wedding months out in advance, and he already locked in the date with you. The wedding is set, the venue is set, so you're banking on him showing up on time and being there to do your makeup on your special day, right? But then let's say that a celebrity client of his calls him last minute and needs him to do her makeup for some, I don't know, promotional event that happens to coincide with the day of your wedding. He is 100%, okay, well, I can't say definitively because I don't know him personally, but I would bet money that he's the type of makeup artist that would drop his loyal, quote unquote, normal person client like a hot potato for a celebrity, because that's what he values. He values his clout and his image more than his actual integrity and reputation as a makeup artist. And he values, yeah, like his own image more than his relationship with his real, normal, everyday, well-paying clients. And he wouldn't even give you a real apology about it either. Bet. Like, let's say he gave you some BS lame excuse about why he had to cancel on your wedding day, but then you find proof or evidence of it later on his Instagram or on social media of him doing the celebrity's makeup on the day of your wedding, and you confront him about it. Trust and believe he would deflect, he would gaslight, he would, I'm so sorry you feel that way, you to death, because in his mind, he's justified to prioritize his ego and his image over your wedding day. This is why, like, people who are unhealed, people who depend on outside validation, they're not trustworthy people to do business with or to get close with at all, okay? They are not capable of operating in integrity, because anytime a situation comes up that brushes against that ever-present insecurity that they've carried with them as a child, like a thorn in their side that they refuse to do the inner work to heal and get rid of or dissolve, they're always going to choose the route of assuaging their own ego over holding their promise to you. That's just how these people operate. But anyway, so Patrick Nah, more like, is a nah for me. Essence and Alice in Wonderland. Okay, not a single item from this entire spread, unfortunately, that looks like it's actually a good formula, I have to say, but I do appreciate the design. I feel like it's a little more whimsical and a little more subdued than usual that we would expect for an Alice in Wonderland collaboration. I mean, the fact that it's Essence and it makes sense they went like the budget route, but I don't know, I think it's whimsical. It gives me like Y2K vibes, especially the ones on the bottom here, like this lava looking lipstick, and I don't know what this is, a blush. Is this like a pH color changing blush? So I don't have access to this anyway, being in Japan, but if anyone were to gift me something from this line, I would not be mad, but no, it's not enticing enough for me to go out of my way to purchase it, especially this eyeshadow palette. Like, what is going on with these colors? This is not giving Alice in Wonderland in the least. What is this? Oh, there's a lip balm. Oh, that's cute. It's like a stopwatch shaped lip balm container, but I don't really, this color is nothing special. It's just like a generic coral peach. It's probably like 90% clear. And yeah, what is this swirly thing? pH reacting lip and cheek balm. See, what did I tell you? I don't even need to zoom in on the details to know what they're getting at here. But I do think the packaging is cute. Like, I like how it's just these very simple, not too busy graphics of the Cheshire Cat, like here on this, what is this? Plumping something lip gloss. It's just the smile of the Cheshire Cat. And then this one is a moussey matte blush. Okay, that looks cute. If I had to pick one item out of this collection that I would purchase, it would probably be this matte blush with the frosted glass packaging here. That looks really cute. And if someone wanted to gift me something, I would not mind the color changing lip glow. Although, to be honest, this doesn't look like it would come out to be the cutest color on my lips. But for collector's purposes, you know, it is cute. I like the Cheshire Cat smile, the disappearing smile, the overall Y2K, almost toy-like toy makeup-like design. Danessa Myricks. Okay, so this is probably the only palette that is truly on my wish list. Like, I truly desire this. However, it is $125. I just don't think I can do it because every site that I've checked so far that ships Danessa Myricks to Japan, they charge like $50 extra in shipping as well. So there's no free shipping options. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get it, you guys, unless I'm somehow able to locate it in Sephora in Dubai when I go there after New Year's. Because I'm probably going to go January 7th to 12th. I haven't bought the plane tickets or anything yet, but yeah, I'm probably going to go on the 7th. Or no, the 6th. And I doubt that it's going to be available in physical Sephora stores in the UAE because Danessa Myricks is US based, right? So I don't know, like the Danessa Myricks is still kind of considered a smaller brand, but this is definitely like the first real, maybe the only real wishlist item I have for holiday 2025, Lightworks 7. And I was looking at swatches of the Lightworks 6 palette from last year as well, and I do think that those colors might actually be more my alley. Let me see if I can pull one up really quickly. Lightworks 6, because those were like brighter, more rainbowy colors, but see, the promo pictures really don't do it justice. I've been obsessively watching so many reels of the Lightworks palettes, and they truly look so stunning and unlike anything I've ever seen. This is the Lightworks 6. The packaging as well is so innovative. Like when I saw people demonstrating how this is basically made of 3 mini palettes and you can take each one and stack it on top of each other because everything is magnetized. And also this silver metal plate on the top here, you can take that off and use that as a cover for your little stacked mini eye palettes as well. So it's super travel friendly, super innovative. All of the individual shadows are also magnetic and pop outable. So it's like truly customizable, and I've never seen like such a satisfying design for a mega type eyeshadow palette as this. And also just Danessa Myricks herself, I follow her personal, not her personal page, but you know, she has her brand page and then she has her own Danessa Myricks business page, and she seems like a lovely hardworking lady as well. So I would feel 100% comfortable and happy supporting someone like Danessa Myricks over someone like Patrick Ta, who I feel like is still a tryhard on the inside, if you understand what I mean. I feel like Danessa Myricks, I respect her artistry. I trust her because like I can feel through the screen that she's really just passionate about her craft and that she is not dependent on other people for validation, right? She can just let her products and let her artistry speak for herself, unlike somebody who has to double down just because some influencers pointed out that his eyeshadows were overpriced. And I think it was more than just the price factor. I think some of them had mold in them as well. And they also just like the Patrick Ta brand team didn't handle certain complaints well at all. So I think that all the criticism towards Patrick Ta was warranted. And instead of responding to it in a graceful way that demonstrates that he's able to take accountability, he just doubled down on how he's right and everyone else is wrong. And so that is what solidified it for me, that he's still out here, like he's terrified to lose his honorary place amongst the plastics of Hollywood, right? That's what it is at the end of the day for him. I know these types, like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't have anything against Patrick Ta as a person, but the vibes are just undeniable, you know? And if he didn't want us to clock his shit, the least he could have done is at least stay quiet. Like he could have just gave his statement through his brand in a generic PR statement. But because he himself wants to be out here so bad in these streets as a influencer or whatever in his own right, then that's the name of the game. That's what comes with the territory. You know, not everyone is going to like you. Some people are going to criticize you. And no amount of accolades or co-signing from Gigi and Bella Hadid is going to fix that insecurity from deep within you, buddy. Patrick Ta catching all kinds of strays from me on this live stream. So what else do we have? Oh, Chanel Beauty. I actually saw this on one of my friend's Instagram stories, interestingly enough. So she just went, apparently she went to Beijing really quickly last weekend. I don't know if this was her sugar daddy that flew her over, but I think she went on Yeah, she went on Friday, which was Halloween. So I don't know, like, not to put her business all out on the internet, but I'm getting the sense that a sugar daddy flew her out, or maybe she flew herself out and she had some guy waiting there with a bag full of Chanel treats for her, because that's what she made it seem like in her Insta stories. So get it, girl. But yeah, they look really, really gorgeous in person because she showed like swatches and everything. I should have taken a screenshot of the story, but it looks like really, really basic and blah here in this particular image, but I'm sure that once you swatch it, it is a very, very unique color story. I actually don't mind like the grays and the blues. I like this type of a vibe lately. I was this close to doing a gray slash blue makeup look today, actually, but then decided against it because it was already getting late and I don't know. I had other things that I wanted to film, so I just went with like my normal pink look. But the blush is gonna be a no for me. That looks super basic. But the blue eyeshadow palette, I would be intrigued. Again, I don't have like $100+ to spend on a single eyeshadow quad at this particular moment in time. So in all likelihood, I'm gonna pass on Chanel, but I don't think it's a bad color story. I think it's very unique. Yeah, at least they didn't go with something super generic like red or pink or sunset colors. I don't know. This is very like a cosmic intergalactic theme that they have going on as well. So yeah, it says cosmic holiday makeup look with the holiday 2025 collection set out to discover a constellation of cosmic makeup, blah blah blah. There's a few different colors, right? There's a few different like color stories. Oh, I missed this one. Okay, so wait a minute. They have this 9-pan one as well. Ooh, okay, you can't see that. But it's called the Space Traveler. I think the colors are cute, but again, the farthest thing from a necessity, I would say, at this point in time. Also, I just think the Chanel packaging is a little bit tired. Like, it's giving Daiso to me, even though I know the top of the palette has the double C logo and everything, but come on, like, what is this? I don't know. The little circles with the too much space in between, that gives me like cheap dollar store vibes. I'm gonna pass on Chanel. I've never been moved by anything that Chanel has ever released in the makeup department, so I have yet to try anything aside from I think their lip gloss was the only thing I've ever tried by way of cosmetics. Oh, ColourPop and the Grinch collection. Yeah, this one is kind of like I expected more, because I love the Grinch, and actually the Jim Carrey version of the Grinch is my favorite Christmas holiday movie of all time. This one is just, it seems like it's the original Dr. Seuss book. Again, the color story for the eyeshadow palette is just like, I understand they're playing it safe maybe to try to appeal to a broader audience, but at the same time though, you can't just throw 2 green shades only and call it a Grinch eyeshadow palette. And it's not even the fact that, okay, I would be satisfied with just the 2 different green shades if they had a few more pops of other colors. Like, why don't they have a blue or a red, right? I feel like those are very, very prominent colors that make a lot of appearances in the original Dr. Seuss illustrations. So it escapes me why they would basically stick to green eyeshadows in a largely neutral peachy palette and call it a Grinch holiday collection. And yeah, aside from the eyeshadow palette itself, none of the other offerings look intriguing to me. But it looks like something that maybe a teenager or some girl in your family that's, yeah, like a teenager or a preteen just getting into makeup, they might enjoy it. Unfortunately, it doesn't call out to me in any way. Flower Nose. Okay, I don't know if Flower Nose has announced anything. Okay, we've gotten too far. I don't know if they've announced anything definitively for their next collection. I think we're still on the, what's it called? Sweetie Bear collection, the bear themed collection. I'm going to say something controversial, and some of you might not like me for saying this, but I am really sick of Flower Nose at this point. Like, I have enough, okay? This is somebody who stopped purchasing after the Celestial Angels, whatever, Little Angels themed collection. That was the last one that I ever purchased. I skipped the Shell's Jewel. I skipped the Sweetie Bear one because I don't like teddy bears. They're not like cute to me. I was always a stuffed whale type of girl, personally. Like, I had this stuffed orca whale that my grandparents gave me when I was a little girl that I was obsessed with, and I carried that thing everywhere. So I never had the proverbial stuffed teddy bear. It was a stuffed whale, okay? If Flower Nose ever comes up with an orca whale collection, I will be first in line. But something tells me that the chances of that are low. Maybe I should make an orca whale themed collection for all of us whale appreciators out there. I like sharks too. But yeah, I have just way too many Flower Nose items right now in my collection that I have reached the point of Flower Nose fatigue. And I know that that's kind of like a privileged take to have, but it's just the truth. I'm not denying how beautiful the products are. I'm not denying their creativity, but I'm just kind of sick of it all, you know, because they don't really, I mean, it's par for the course for an Asian makeup brand. It is a Chinese brand after all, so you can't expect them to get too out there in terms of the bright colors and finishes and whatnot, but it just gets really old after a while. Like, it's the same color stories over and over again. It's the same two pale tones of, if they ever release any face products like powders and stuff, right? I don't know if they ever released foundation, but they have face powders, and it's always like, you know, a lavender one for brightening, or maybe a blue one, and like a white translucent one. So they never have any variety in the face products department. They barely have any variety in their eyeshadows. It's always like these neutral browns and pinks and blues and stuff, which are great upon first try, but again, it gets old after a while. And it's just like, sometimes when I see the antics that they're up to these days, like for example, this is one of their pop-up shops in Korea where you see this production, right? It's this huge storefront, and they invested all this money into making these huge life-sized blow up, I don't know what to call it, statues of their regular makeup items. Like for example, this huge ah no, no YSL. Oh my god. This one. It's like a huge sculpture of one of their lipstick containers for people to pose with, and it's very Instagrammable, right? So I'm sure all the influencers got flued out, and invited over there, and it's not lost on me, okay? I just want to make it clear, you know, I'm happy for everyone. I'm happy for the influencers that get all of the gorgeous, ornate PR boxes from Flower Nose, and I'm sure the ones that got flued out to this pop-up store in Korea, I hope they had the time of their lives. But it's not lost on me that they're spending quite a bit of budget on all of this influencer marketing and activity. And it's not lost on me that probably a large part of whatever we are paying for these Flower Nose palettes and what have you is going towards this marketing. I feel kind of a ways about that, if I'm going to be 100% honest. Not bitter or anything, but I feel like, okay, well, if you're going to charge like $20, $30, however much it is for an eyeshadow palette now, and even if you get the entire set, which gives you quite a discount, it's still like $300, $400 if you want to buy an entire collection. So I'm like, okay, but clearly you're spending most of that money on your marketing. You're building these huge life-size lip gloss containers for people to pose with. You're probably, you know, comping all of the travel costs of the influencers that you invite to these events. So like, yeah, I do feel kind of a way about you taking most of the money that I spend on your palette and spending it on these shenanigans, right? Again, no hate to the influencers or whoever is lucky enough to partake in this, but it's the same thing like when I see people unboxing their huge Flower Nose PR hauls. I'm like, okay, well, that's great for you guys, but I mean, is the product that impressive to the point where I'm like, please take my money, please continue to price gauge me on these palettes that probably cost like less than 5% of the retail price for them to make. Yeah, I'm happy to pay $25 a palette as long as you keep using that money, using those profits to go towards your extravagant marketing campaigns. Like, no, I'm good. Okay. I don't necessarily know if I want to be a part of all that anymore. If you want to send a PR box over my way for the next collection, I'm not going to be one to say no, but that's just where I stand right now. Like, why? I've lost the spark in my heart, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I just feel like, okay, why should I go out of my way to buy anything from Flower Nose, even if it's just one or two items? Like, why is it though that now I have to limit myself to one or two items? Because the pricing is just that, the pricing is affordable, you know, it's not like luxury pricing or anything, but it's just too obvious to me though that they spend most of their budget on they spend a lot of budget on advertising, right? And so I can't help but feel a way as a longtime consumer that if they were to cut some of their expenses in some of the, in my view, superfluous things, such as these huge life-size models of their makeup products for people in the Seoul pop-up shop to pose with, if they would just cut those expenses out and then use them towards developing better and future collections for us, and like lower the price a little bit or make it more accessible to everyone, then I would be more inclined to support them again as a brand. But as of now, I just feel like, okay, well, it seems like you're, soaring off into the sunset with your viral status as one of the first social media famous Chinese viral makeup brands on social media. So that's great for you, but I don't understand why my consumer money needs to be a part of that anymore, because I don't see any direct benefits to me from it except just using the makeup every day, of course. But it's just not the best feeling to know that you're paying premium prices for the type of experience that Flower Nose promises us, and yet they're like lavishing all of these brand trips and all of these perks onto their favorite influencers that already have millions of subscribers. They could buy the collection themselves 10 times over if they wanted to, but no, their generosity, like the brand's generosity, is extended only towards those who can bring them the most clout. So yeah, I feel the same way towards Tier also as a brand. I'm a little bit turned off by how much they lavish their favorite influencers with just gifts upon gifts, like luxury gifts, even gifts that have nothing to do with the actual brand of Tier or Flower Nose. Like, didn't Michaela Navera or Noguera, I don't remember her last name, Michaela, the one that had the controversy with the eyelashes, but she's still out here getting like Hermes gifts from Tier or someone. And I'm just like, okay, bet, that's what you guys want to do. I hope you guys are having a grand old time over there, but why should I support your brand then, right? That doesn't inspire me to pay more money for Tier products or Flower Nose products. So that's where I stand with Flower Nose right now. We're not mortal enemies or anything, but I'm a little bit cooled off at the moment. What's next on the list? Yves Saint Laurent. Yeah, so I guess the 3 colors at the top here, these are the holiday colors. Wait a minute, this says spring 2025 or spring 2026. Okay, so I guess like technically these are the newest releases. I'm confused. So does that mean they're not released until next year? Regardless though, I'm kind of over it. Like, I don't understand. Okay, I've always wanted like one YSL quad, and I wanted one of their little blush compacts as well, because it is cute, it is aesthetic. I do want it for the gram partially, I will admit. Just the little like leather YSL logo, I think would look really aesthetic in a lot of the backgrounds of my Instagram posts. However, I just don't know if I would be able to, again, be willing to pay over $100 per palette. I'm just getting like frustrated with the lack of creativity from Yves Saint Laurent Beauty recently, because like there's this one person that I follow. Her name is Emily Harper, and she does a lot of videos where she'll buy like vintage, mint condition, luxury brand makeup releases from 20 plus years ago, and she'll open them on camera with us. Sometimes she'll repurpose them. There'll be new items sometimes, but it'll be from like the Dior Beauty 2001 collection or something, right? So like the packaging is intact and it's unopened, but obviously the product is already expired at this point. So she'll open it and she'll show us, and then sometimes she'll dig out the old product, disinfect everything, and use the container to fill it up with something else, like one of her newer favorite lipstick formulas of the moment, right? She finds so many interesting things, by the way, from the beauty collections of Christmas past, or I don't know if they're all holiday releases, but it's just like the designs from back in the day were so much more creative and whimsical, and it seemed like the quality was better too in a lot of aspects. Okay, so she found this one from YSL. It's like a heart locket, and the design is so cute. Okay, I found it. Let me see if I can share this screen. This one right here, this vintage YSL lip gloss necklace. You see the thumbnail? It's like a curved heart. It reminds me of the Vivienne Westwood heart motif, and then when you open it up, it's like split into 2 different pans of 2 different types of lip gloss.
This is a YSL lip gloss necklace from the early 2000s, and repotting it feels like criminal activity. Every time I think about repotting it, something's just standing in the way, emotionally and physically. Like, feels like a crime to take this apart, but
I'm just like, okay, contrast this. Okay, this is the Love collection, so it looks like maybe it could have been a Valentine's Day release, but regardless, look at this and contrast it with what we get nowadays, which is literally just like the same old leather case with the boring ass YSL logo over and over again. Why did we used to get all of those really creative, whimsical, like Y2K designs or releases in the past? And they were so creative, right? It was like it doubled as a heart pendant and a makeup item all in one. But nowadays we literally they just keep coming out with new iterations of like slightly different color schemes than the one before that were probably generated by AI, and they're just all in this same unchanging black leather case with the YSL logo, which again, it's timeless, it's cute, and I think every girl would not mind to have at least one in her vanity. But after that, it's like, okay, how many do you need though? Can you guys come up with something new? Don't you have the resources as a luxury fashion house supposedly to come up with something innovative? Even just from a design perspective, like, come on, this is so tired. I've heard good reviews, like depending on which shade. I'm sure there's like hit or miss depending on which color story you pick up. I have heard good reviews about these, and they're definitely popular in Asia since we favor a more, you know, sheer natural type of look over here. But I just don't understand, like, again, why can't they be creative like they were 20 years ago? Okay, moving on. Florasis. This is one of the few Asian makeup brand releases that I am kind of interested in. I don't think it's like an official holiday release, but the most recent eyeshadow palette colorway that they released is this purple mauve one on the bottom here. Let me see if I have a better photo. Yeah, this one. It's just not, it's not giving to me. I'm sure somebody will love this. If I were gifted this, I wouldn't mind at all, but it's not enticing enough for me to go out of my way to buy, especially for holiday. Like, it's just not giving me the Christmas winter vibes. I expect something really like deeper, like burgundies and terracottas, dark forest greens. That's my vibe for winter. So this is still giving me more of like a spring attitude. But I am still keeping my eye on Florasis as a brand though. Like, at some point, I do want to review more items from their line. I heard their cushion foundations are really good. I don't need new foundations at the moment, so I'm actually trying to work through an older foundation that I just dug out recently. The Maybelline Fit Me. It's kind of like a tinted moisturizer slash foundation. Yeah, it's like a, oh no, why is it blurry? But it's the Vitamin C Fit Me tint. And I forgot how much I enjoyed this. I'm wearing it today. It looks very dewy, very fresh. It doesn't dry down or crackle or do anything weird over time. So quite surprising actually, because I've had this for a few years already, but it's still very fresh. There's no weird smell. Like, it has a fragrant smell and it smells exactly the same as the day when I bought it. So I think I'm going to try to work through this whole bottle before I pick up any new foundation type product. Because again, we are just not, I'm not going to be all gung-ho like, oh, no buy whatsoever, but I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that I'm really not feeling it these days. Like, I'm entering a very, very low buy stage, and it's not even a conscious effort. It's just what I feel in my soul right now. Like, I'm not feeling it. I don't feel like giving my money to all these corporations, especially since a lot of the releases, they don't even feel that inspiring to me. They're not innovative. Some of them are very obvious cash grabs. And yeah, like, as a consumer, it's not a good feeling. I want to, if I'm going to buy something, it has to be a really good experience for me all around. So one other collection from an Asian brand is this one by RMK. It just says the RMK Holiday Collection 2025. I'm sure there's a name for it, but it's kind of, again, like, I'm kind of thrown for a loop. Why do they keep releasing these mossy, foresty, springtime like color palettes for winter? Is that the new trend this year? Like, we're trying to imagine spring in winter, or we're just ignoring the classic winter colors altogether? I mean, that's a way to go about it, I guess. But RMK has not intrigued me for a couple years now, which is kind of disappointing. It's kind of sad to say, but ever since they changed their creative director a couple years back, I have been losing more and more interest in the brand. Although I guess it's a good thing ultimately for my wallet. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a pretty palette. I'm sure it looks gorgeous on the face, but it's not enticing enough for me to actually pull out my wallet. And I think that might be the last of it. Yeah. that's all I have for you guys today. But while we're here, let me just show you more of Emily Harper's channel. I'm kind of addicted to her little vintage finds on eBay. The more I watch, I'm underwhelmed with a lot of the new holiday releases that are coming out present day, especially when it comes to the design of the packaging. This
Its
is what
original
YSL used to
packaging,
do
even the
back in the day.
tag, and its original box and pouch. It's so cute.
And let's see what
This is borderline criminal, but I have to repot this YSL 1980s vintage lipstick.
I would totally be more interested in their new offerings if they switched up the packaging to something like that. What is this? Marc Jacobs Solid Perfume.
Over 10 years ago at my retail job, I was given these perfume testers. Do you remember these Marc Jacobs pins? Mine, it says they were launched in the early 2000s. They made rings, pins, there were a couple necklaces, and obviously I could never dream of owning one of those or one of these accessories. This is a solid perfume compact. Literally, it smells bad. I gave it a sniff. Oh my god, regrets. It smells rancid. Let's refill the Dior flower, and trigger warning, I really F this one up. I was waiting for a long time until I discovered the perfect product to refill this with. Then I melted them down, but with so little product, they dried upon pouring. Looked disgusting. I was so upset. Didn't want to use my heat gun, and yes, the heat gun damaged the plating. This was a tough one, and I feel like I brought it upon myself by saying that I don't love this item very much. I'm gonna try to make lemonade out of lemons, so I am gonna be making a bracelet out of that chain, but just not.
Okay, let me just not watch this for another hour. And Hailey Bieber had her little iPhone case lip gloss, which everyone clowned when it first came out, and yet now Rhode is like a $1 billion evaluated company, right? So never be afraid to innovate and shake up the industry. Sorry, I'm trying to find the Dior lip gloss. This one. Oh, okay, it's not a keychain. It just has like the Dior charm punched on the side. But see, you can repurpose something like this, right? If you get a little piece of hardware with your makeup, I feel like that's really fun too, because if you don't have quite enough money at the moment to buy like a proper jewelry item from Dior, then I think it's nice to have a little taste of it, like to have this option to buy a lip gloss, or what is the official name? The Dior Addict Lip Glow Butter. See, you can buy one of these for 5,000 yen, which is like very, very affordable in comparison to a Dior necklace or something. And then you could just repurpose the charm as a little necklace, right? I think that's super cute and fun. I want to see more makeup brands do that. And I kind of like, I have the urge. I was saying that I couldn't stop thinking about Totally Spies. So I want to make a makeup company or brand that creates makeup in packaging that looks like gadgets. Is there any like compilation online that shows every single gadget that was used in the cartoon? Because that would be really fun. Yeah, like these types of compacts, just like Y2K vibes, but with the quality of 2025, and I want it to be repurposable. Like you can wear it as jewelry, you can use it as a keychain, you can hang it off of your bag as decoration. That's what I want to see more of moving into the next year from makeup. And if I don't see it, if the current brands don't deliver, I might have to just go and fill the gap myself. I don't know. Let me not talk crazy. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the situation of the current beauty holiday releases for 2025. Let me know your thoughts, or did I miss anything big? Do you have your eyes on anything in particular? Now I'm really tempted to go the Emily Harper route and like find random vintage things from Dior Beauty and YSL Beauty on eBay, because I really do feel like their older releases, the design and the concepts and everything were so much more superior to what we're getting this day and age. Not even just for the Western luxury brands, even the Japanese brands. Like I remember back in the day, several years ago, I don't know if it's been a decade yet, but like one of the first RMK products that I bought, they had this like dot collection. It was very retro themed. The packaging was just A1. And I think I sold everything eventually from that collection to make back a few yen. But now I wish that I had kept it, because it was just, I remember it was so iconic. And compared to what RMK is coming out with these days, this crap, wah, wah, wah. I'm just like, oh, maybe I should have kept the older releases from 5, 6, 7 years ago. Even the lipstick cases, I don't like the fact that they switched to rounded lipsticks, right? I mean, the color here is cute, you know, they made a teal color for the limited collection, but they used to do these, just dropped my entire flower nose palette. Okay, it's fine. No eyeshadows were hurt in the making of this live. They used to do these like square rectangular lipstick bullets, and I just preferred these more. I don't know. I think I also have one or two eyeliners from previous collections. Yeah, vintage RMK. I would look into that more if it wasn't so niche, but even now, not many people outside of Japan know of RMK, so I don't know if it would be worth it for me from like an SEO standpoint, but this is one of their older collections, like 5+ years ago. It's just like a red eyeliner. I should use this. It doesn't smell bad, but it smells kind of musty, which makes sense. It's been like 5 years, but I had a green one of this as well. Even though it's like simplistic, it's just a red cream eyeliner, I think it's more interesting than what you're seeing on the screen right now, right? There was just more like character in it as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I don't know. I'm underwhelmed, but moral of the story, don't spend money on things unless they absolutely spark joy in your heart. Don't spend your money on holiday releases just because you feel like you have to, or you feel like because of the holiday season, you have to buy something for yourself. No, you can actually shop your stash, and you can shop vintage if you want to, like Emily Harper, or you can just get more creative. Like, forget the holiday limited edition buzzwords. Just look at what you're interested in or what sparks your fancy right now, and just gravitate towards that, right? So, for example, me, I just realized a few seconds ago that the Dior lip butter, was it called? That might actually be a better choice for me for my next makeup splurge, if you will, than any of these holiday releases that I just went through right now, because it's kind of like exactly what I'm looking for at the moment. It's what is tickling my fancy. The fact that I can get, this relatively cheap makeup product compared to anything else that the brand offers, right? So I can get like a makeup product, but then I also get this Dior charm that I can repurpose. I can wear it as a necklace charm or attach it to my cell phone, anything. And I feel like I'm getting more value and more of a fun experience overall from the product. And that's what I'm looking for these days. Okay, that's what I value. I'm not looking to just like funnel money into the marketing budget of an already successful company, Flower Nose, cough, just so that they can like blow 90% of that on their top influencers, to give them free trips and PR packages and all of that. Again, nothing against the influencers. I hope they're living their best lives, but why do I need to fund that, right? What's in it for me? As the consumer, at the end of the day, we have the right to prioritize our pleasure in this whole shopping and consumerism experience. So anyway, that's all I have today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.